Hey, what's happening, guys? Yours truly here, Xavier Smith, aka Coach X. And in this live stream, I get to be with you, talk with you, and share a little bit of insight as to understanding self through the perspective of the six human needs. So if you're into stuff like that, you might be curious. If you are, then I invite you to stay tuned. And welcome back. My name is Xavier Smith, and it looks like I might have had some technical difficulties. So if you did not hear my introduction, I get to do it again. I'm Xavier Smith, and I want to welcome you. I am in this video. My plan is to give you some insight, some excellent insight, as I like to call it, on the understanding of self, specifically through the lens of the six human needs. Okay. So during this time, if you can allow me, just give me about 10 minutes of your time, sit down, tune in, get turned on, and tapped into this information I have to share with you. And hopefully, if you are aligned with it, it will get you to, number one, understand about yourself. And number two, better enter the world with a greater understanding, with compassion, with more love, and more peace inside. That is my hope. That is my ambition. And that is what I'm here to do. So thank you in advance for tuning in, turning on, and getting tapped into what we have to share with you today. But before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of introduction as to who I am and why you should be spending a little bit of time with me. So let's get into that right now. So I told you my name, Xavier Smith, aka Coach X, aka Mr. Excel Smith. I have a lot of names. I have a company by the name of Xcellence Solutions, and my mission is simply this. I've been sent here to impact, inspire, and improve your life for the better. I'm dead serious about that. And since I've been serious at the game of helping people get better at the game of life, since around 2007, I have taken it as my responsibility to do what I can to place my life at your service. So hopefully that makes sense. And as such, when I speak of my life, I'm mainly speaking of three events or kind of things that I had to use to really kind of dive deep as to why I was here, what I was sent here for. And number one of those incidents was a heart attack. I had a heart attack at 29. Before that happened, the story that I used to tell was I had deadbeat parents, but such was not the case. I had parents who had me at a young age, and therefore they dumped me off on my grandparents, and I learned a lot of lessons then. And it has made me the person that you see before you today. And most recently, I've also, survived a hit and run drunk driving accident when I was a sophomore in high school. And so those are the main three factors that has caused me to be become the person that I am today. So that kind of gives you a nutshell, hopefully gives you an insight as to who this person is that's on your screen right now. Okay. So let's chime in and see what kind of comments we got. Oh, we got Misty. Hey, what's happening, champ? I love it. So Misty is here. She's visiting from Kentucky. She says, hey, friend. And there she goes. She says, watching from Kentucky. I love it. Thank you so much for the love. And I appreciate that. Misty is awesome. And I certainly do love the fact that you have tuned in and got yourself some popcorn, hopefully, and just ready to learn a little bit more about yourself so that you can show up and help other people. What I plan to do on this day is kind of give you a 5,000-foot view as to how I have learned how to, enter the world with a little bit more desire to help others. And I should continue my story about who I am and how some of the background knowledge that I have acquired, one of which is life coaching. I happen to be certified through a Tony Robbins program, which I have acquired over 120 hours or so of hands-on life coaching experience with other people. And it was just a blast. And in addition to that, I also have background education in nutrition. Like I said, after I had the heart attack, I really wanted to dive deeper into the how I got there and what I could do to get back to 100%. And the first thing that I did when I got serious about helping others is became a certified personal trainer. That was back in 2007. So all that culminates into the person you see before you today. And what I really wanted to spend some time on today, within this 10 minutes, is just kind of give you a deeper understanding as to the 6 human needs that every single human being on earth is under the influence of. All right. So with that being said, let's dive into some of these 6 human needs. And I'm going to go pretty quick. So I encourage you to take some mental notes or maybe have a pen and paper, and let me know if you have any questions, as we go through this. I would love to encourage you to reach out to me if you have further questions, comments, or concerns. All right, so we're talking about 6 human needs, right? And as I said, everyone on earth is influenced by these 6 human needs because we have to fulfill them. It's kind of these, basics, elements of life. And most of these 6 human needs that we're going to get into are met by your personality, and there are a couple that are met through your spirit. So let's get into it, shall we? The first thing that I want to bring up is these 6 human needs, like I said, are always we're always under the influence. So the first one we're talking about is certainty. Okay, let me let that sink in. Certainty. We all have a need to be certain about a few things. And I don't care if it's being certain about the bills that need to be paid. Some people have to be certain that, you're going to have a roof over your head. And nowadays, fortunately, we are not back in the dinosaur days where we were, there could have been a saber-toothed tiger right around the corner wanting to take your life. We're not in that kind of day. So, we don't have to worry about some of the same things that we did from a long time ago. But we do have a basic certainty that things need to be done on time. We have to pay our bills. We have to have food to eat. These are the things that we call certainty. Other people might have different names for it, but it all boils down to being certain that certain things have to happen in your life in order for you to feel fulfilled. Does that make sense? I hope so. So again, we're going into talking about certainty. We're thinking about things in the way of, do I have food? Do I have shelter? Do I have the basic needs met? That's a little bit about certainty. Now, what I should tell you as we get into this is that there's different types of ways you can meet or fulfill the need for certainty, either positive or negative. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But the next one I wanted to bring up is variety. So just like some people are driven by the need of certainty more than others, there's another group of people who are driven by variety. They need to have a certain amount of suspense in their life. You'll notice this, the best example I can think of right off the top of my head is that some people are so driven by variety. These are the types of people who would rent a plane, go 2.5 miles above the earth and just jump out of that plane. Or maybe the thrill seekers in your life, the ones who will do bungee jumping, on a whim, because they have to have a little bit of suspense in their life. They have to feel alive. Does that make sense? This is the term. This is what we mean by variety. Okay. So a lot of people, again, this need can be fulfilled in a negative or a positive way. So let's move on. The next basic human need is significance. Now, this one is a trap door for a lot of people, especially on the guys. With the amount of coaching that I've done with people, this is where a lot of guys get caught up. Significance. This is the need to feel important, respected, revered. Some people might fall into that trap of life where you have to feel so significant, and they fulfill that need of significance by dominating and becoming more than some persons, some other people. You have to be. They think in terms. They look at life through the lens of inferiority or superiority. They have to be better than. You might think of a next door neighbor, a keeping up with the Joneses type of people. When someone down the street comes home with a brand new truck, it's lifted, it's got all the bells and whistles, and then next week another person, maybe the next door neighbor, has to come with a bigger truck. All right, these are the word significance, and this is kind of a more on the negative side of how someone would fulfill the need of being important or significant. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. All right, we got some comments. Let me go check in on these comments right there. So basic needs must be met. You are absolutely right, champ. Thank you. She says, no long distance falls for me. I love that. Yes, the male's testosterone syndrome. Oh yeah. So let's get into that. Let's go back to what we're talking about as far as the significance is concerned. A lot of people fall into this trap of fulfilling like they have to fulfill the need of significance by dominating. Some people meet this need by creating or earning more money, or somehow, for some people, they feel significant if they're making a certain amount of money every year. Some people have to make that same type of money every month. So one way or the other, these needs are going to be fulfilled through your personality for the most part. Okay. So that's significance, and we'll get back into how we meet that in a positive or negative way. But let me just continue on. The next basic human need is connection/love. Now, this was another tricky area because there's a lot of times where men or women or both can get these two confused. Now, there is an easy way to get connection and gain connection. You can simply walk down the street and connect with someone, even though like nowadays it's a little bit more challenging because people are out wearing masks and you really can't see the facial expression. But you can meet your need for connection simply by smiling at someone, because we're all connected. Number one, we all need to understand that we are all connected and we're all going through what we call life together. But when you talk about connection/love, it's easy to get confused. All right, so there's an easy way to gain connection, whereas someone who has a misunderstanding of the word love, they could be thinking that, you're in a relationship. One person is thinking we're just friends. The other person's thinking they're ready to marry that person. So there could be a little mix up when it comes to connection/love. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a deeper manner later. But I just wanted to make sure you knew that these are some of the influences that we're all under. Okay. Now, let's get into the areas that we start to have a little bit more fun. The next basic human need is growth. Now, this is an area where you're focused on contributing to something that's bigger than you. You always want to, like for me, growth is I have to learn something. I'm a consummate learner. I'm always searching for something new that I can, add into my repertoire. Maybe it's reading an article. Maybe it's, doing something for someone else that other people may not necessarily have to know about. For me, that's what growth means for me. And this is, it's levels and layers to this. So one person's definition of growth could be totally different from the others, from the next door neighbor. So growth for me is learning. Growth for me is also could be doing something in service to others, whether other people know about it or not. And for other people, it could be a great way to get into meditation, to discover something. Meditation, by the way, is the definition of it is becoming familiar with. All right. So maybe some people want to gain more growth by learning a little bit more about their inner workings, because I cannot tell you how challenging it is for some people to sit quietly and do nothing, like have no thoughts. I can't tell you how challenging that is for some people. So maybe for one person, growth would be just being able to sit down and contemplate, or maybe not think anything at all for at least 5 minutes. My wife would be one of those people who's always thinking, did I leave the iron on? And all we're trying to do is get her to focus and have no thoughts. So that for some people could mean growth for them if they were able to do that for a substantial amount of time. All right. So next is contribution. So this one is also kind of related to growth, but on contribution, you're always, completely dedicating your life to something bigger than yourself. So for a lot of people, it could be donating to a nonprofit organization, or for others, it could be, completely paying someone's bill, whatever the case may be. This is more of the philanthropic type of situation where people are actually doing something for the benefit of others without necessarily getting in anything in return for themselves. Does that make sense? And I hope it does. All right, so now let's talk about these. We talked about certainty, variety, significance, connection / love, growth, and contribution. So let's focus on the last two. The last two, which is growth and contribution, are based in spirit. Okay, so I'm gonna pause for dramatic effect. These two are based in spirit. So that means not everybody will be able to fulfill these last two basic human needs because they're not attached to their spirit. They are somehow separate from their inner self. Most people go through life focusing only on the first four: certainty, variety, significance, and connection and love. And they're trying to fulfill those needs through their personality. Now, that could be a positive thing or a negative thing. So let's go back to the term for significance. A great example for significance is, I'm sorry, I didn't want to talk about significance. I want to talk about certainty. The great example for certainty is if someone, let's say someone grew up in a inner city and they had a gun. If they were to take that gun and take it to someone and point that gun at someone's head, they are going to be certain that that person is going to respond to them, usually in a negative way. Okay, so that's a great example of how someone can use it in a negative way, because this person sees another object or something of value that that other person wants, and they're going to use the gun, whatever they, by any means necessary, to take what they need from another person. That's an example of how to use certainty in a negative way. Now, you can also fulfill certainty by doing something philanthropic. Like if I've got a certain amount of money, I'm going to dedicate a certain amount every month or every day or whatever the case may be to a philanthropic operation. So there's two ways you can meet that need for certainty, just like there are two different ways that you can meet all the other basic human needs. But I'm here to tell you that all these needs, all six of them, there's going to be one, two, sometimes three that are major driving factors for you. Okay. So my question for you, as I land this plane, is basically going over all the six human needs that we just talked about: certainty, variety, significance, connection, and love. Which one would you say you are most driven by? You can write it down, you can comment with me, or just put it down in your mental notes and ask yourself, maybe get into the habit of asking yourself daily, what human needs am I driven by today? Do I find myself reacting because I want to be significant? Or do I find myself proacting because I'm concerned only with growth and contribution? Do I want to give more, or am I more interested in taking and seeing only what others can do for me? These are the moments, these are the questions that I'd like to leave you with. as I want to give you something that you can think about. And I also want to give you an invitation to join me if you want to talk a little bit further about how these 6 human needs can not only help you understand yourself, but help you understand others. Okay? So that's what I want you to do for me. Ask yourself, what 6 human needs am I driven by? Hopefully, if you can maintain a frequency of growth and contribution, you will discover that all the others, the certainty, variety, significance, connection, and love, well, they all get added to you by default. This is the trick that most people get caught up on, because they spend their time and their personality focusing on the first 4, when if they really wanted to make some changes in their life, in their self, and the lives of others that they serve, if you started focusing on growth and contribution first, you will get all the other 4 by default. So here's my invitation. If you do have questions, comments, or concerns, you want to talk a little bit more about how you and all of us are influenced by these 6 human needs, then reach out to me. I like to make it as easy as possible for a connection. Hint, hint. All right, so that is my time. I spent way over time. I was only trying to be with you for 10 minutes, but ended up being a little bit over 20. But time flies when you're having fun, right? Hey guys, my time is up, but I want to remind you, I'm Xavier Smith, aka Coach X, and I want to thank you for taking some of this information in, and let me know if you want to go deeper. All right, I'm always here. I'm always ready to serve. And may you be blessed with excellence in your life. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.